Hello, this is the LEGO Star Wars AT-AT driver helmet, and in spite of what this looks like, the build of it is nothing like the TIE Fighter pilot helmet or the Stormtrooper helmet or any of the other helmets that I have built from this line so far. This comes with 730 pieces. I paid $70 US for it. It is 80 euros for some reason. We'll talk more about that later. 70 pounds UK, which is even worse, or $90 Canadian. These pictures of an original Empire Strikes Back screen reference and the Lego set show you about how close they were able to get in terms of the overall shaping, but this picture that Lego took here really does itself disservice with the lighting and also the focal length. Overall, to me, the Lego one looks a little bit too sleek. I think that the temples should be a bit thicker and also the jowls should be a little bit thicker, and it's a little bit blocky around the rear. But it is immediately recognizable. They got the color right, or as right as they reasonably could without creating a whole new color in between white and this light gray that they used here, because as we've known for quite some years now, the correct color of the actual screen used props was a light gray. And most of the details, most of the major details are captured here. But the real big major story of this is the build. Now, if you don't like what it looks like, the build is really not going to redeem it all that much. But if you do like Lego builds, for the builds, the build techniques themselves, not just the part usage, but the whole approach to how a design was done from the start, this is an absolute treat. The build begins with a pretty standard stand, just some slopes. You got a plate down here and ultimately inside of there for structure and strength all the way through. There are a couple of Technic lift arms that go pretty far up inside, and everything gets anchored to those, especially from the top, to make sure that nothing is going to fall off here, in spite of the fact that this is pretty top heavy and has a lot of bricks and pieces in it. Especially as you go up higher, it becomes pretty dense. But once you get that basic base in there and the couple of just regular straight Technic pieces sticking up, everything immediately then changes. From this first layer of when you really start doing the custom helmet part and not the stand part anymore, it is different. It is distinctly different. It uses Technic armatures really to hold many of the major segments on, especially for attaching the face together to get some really interesting angles, such as this slight angle here on the side. I mean, this is angled in just the slightest bit. It's not straight. It's actually angled in. That's actually pretty nice and surprising. They could have gotten away with just leaving it straight. Obviously, you've got an angle on 3 axes here. All right, it's angled down here. It's angled in. And it's also pinched in as viewed from the top. This is a sticker right here. You can very clearly see the difference in color. Every single time that I talk about the difference in color, I get folks from other regions of the world who say, well, Jang, that's a you problem. The color difference is a you problem. Don't worry about it. You don't need to talk about that. Well, I am going to talk about it. I don't care what anybody says. If I encounter an issue and something that is clearly poor quality or lower quality than it should be, I'm going to call it out. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me not to call it out just because regions of the world where Lego sells less, the US is, North America is Lego's highest selling region, where they have the most customers today. They sell the most. We get the worst quality, and it should not be like that. It just simply should not be like that. So I'm going to continue to call out things that I think should be done better because, well, Lego itself does say only the best is good enough. And we are paying some premium prices for this plastic and these stickers. So I have an issue with the sticker right there. These are prints in there. There is an intentional gap that shows you just a little bit of red. That is intentional, and that is based on the actual movie props. There's a little bit of red that you can see through there if you look really, really closely. It's usually in shade, but it is there. That is accurate. These angles of these little plates right here, they are really nice. Obviously, the faceplate, major mouth sections and the sides of the orbit, but then the angles of the eye or visor cover sections themselves, also very interesting. What I like here least by far is just all this hollow studded surface here. Those are not good to see, especially when you get down here. It doesn't look like interesting detail. It doesn't feel like it's a value add. I'm sure that the designer considered putting just 2x3 tiles over that or something and then decided against it. But I personally, or maybe like a jumper and a tile. I would have preferred for those to be covered, but that is a nitpick. From more of a distance, you don't really see that, but I don't like that texture. It reminds me of Minecraft, Lego Minecraft cacti, as if it was an intentional texture in there. The plaque is a print. These are stickers right here. You can see the small squares. I'm actually fine with that. The red is good. These stickers are large, and there's not much you can do to reduce the gap there. I did get a little bit of weird color in that one. I reduced the gap down, I think, just about as far as are reasonably good. These prints are excellent. Whoever designed these knows not only graphic design, but graphic design for print in particular, because they had this done in 2 steps. So there's a strike of red and there's a strike of gray. So there's actual light gray printing around the edges against the light gray, which makes it really, really nice and crisp. So kudos to whoever's responsible for that. You know your stuff, and I hope that you will have a very successful career no matter where you are working. Back here, this is a print. I tried putting this on. I tried outsmarting Lego and putting this on, the sticker on before putting the part on. That was wrong. No, put it on after the part is on. You're going to be left with a little bit of gap over here, unfortunately, or on one side, you're going to be left with a gap. I could have equalized that a little bit more, but I didn't want more gap as viewed from the side. So I actually prioritized a better look from the side, and that left me with a larger gap around the back. It's just how it is. And then here you've got another one of those situations where there are 2 large stickers. The gray isn't the greatest match. The red is nice and vibrant. It has a lot of a flake in it, a lot of reflective flake in it. So yeah, it's very, very bright. But you can technically get those a little bit closer, but I didn't want to get too close with it. There is a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a chamfered edge to Lego pieces, but that's all good. There we go. I had one piece coming out just a little bit. And then as you come back around the back of the head, the core part of the head, you get back into that classic shaping that's just basic studded surfaces. Good technique, cool technique. It's part of the Lego suite of tests for potential new designers. You got to be able to make those in different sizes and quickly, but it just doesn't look quite as good as everything else, which has a nice mix of a little bit of studding and a lot of smooth. I feel like most of this just has a real nice feel to it. And then back here it just feels a little bit older. But again, that's not that big of a thing. It's not that big of a deal. And I am definitely nitpicking with that. I just wanted to give you all of my thoughts about this thing. But overall, the end result, after all is said and done, is something that looks very good to me. It looks satisfying. Again, I could have used a little bit more chunkiness to it. Obviously, we want more smoothness to anything like this, which is a lot to ask for from things that are made from just regular Lego pieces. But all in all, this was an excellent effort and a real joy to build. I typically, personally, mostly care about the end result. But in this case, the build really added a lot of value to this for me, because it didn't feel like just another helmet with a different color and a few small changes of detail. It's too bad we don't get the hoses here, but the hoses on AT-AT driver, they come down from here and then they attach to the front of the suit. So you could have had a part of it in there, but it wasn't that necessary. I think that this was a fine overall pick of details and a good expression of them in Lego form for this scale. These are the only leftover pieces. Of course, we need lots more of pieces like this in neutral colors, like this, a relatively new part. I think it was new for 2025, or at least late 2024. First time I've gotten it in black personally, but anytime that we can change the direction of building or reverse an existing part that we've had for a long time, we get just a little bit closer to reaching the capabilities that you get with other building brick brands that have done so many more things for so many years. And this is what the sticker sheet looked like. So quite a lot of sticker coverage, but at least everything is rectangular. All right, unfortunately, I do need to come back to price now. This is 730 pieces, this set, and it cost me $70 US. That's the retail price. So if you only care about price to part ratio and that mythical and super ridiculously atrociously outdated 10-cent price to part ratio that's supposed to be magical and correct, and even though it's not based on any sort of reality from the past 20 years, then this looks good on paper. But I don't care about price to part ratio. I care about how much stuff that's actually here. And I'm not talking about massive ABS pellet, because ABS pellet is really, really cheap. If you really looked into the price of production of this, yeah, you would never defend the price of any Lego set ever. Of course, they did have to go through all of the design process. They pay their designers well. All the main folks at HQ are taken care of properly. So that's all important, as is the customer support that they provide. But hold on. This is 80 euros. 80 euros is equivalent to $83 US. It is 70 pounds UK, which is equivalent to 88 US dollars. And that is more than 40%. Talking about just retail prices. In the UK, it's more than 40% above the retail price in Canada, where it's 90 US dollars. As of the time of the recording of this video, that's equivalent to 62 US dollars. Sorry, it's 90 Canadian dollars, so equivalent to 62 US dollars. That's just an absurd variation. Absolutely absurd. It has not been like this. That is not normal. Things are usually a little bit more expensive in the Eurozone and in the UK, and then folks in those areas often, if people are not buying directly from Lego, they're buying from other retailers. They're able to get discounts on day one in many cases. And Canada is usually right around our price, the US price, or just slightly below, just at market level. We both have taxes to pay, yada, yada, yada. But almost 90 US dollars for this in the UK is absurd, in my personal opinion. I think that the Canadian price is just above the max of the range that I think would be reasonable for this, given that it is a licensed Star Wars thing that is nice, that has a decent amount of volume to it. Yeah, I would personally prefer to see it in the $50 range, but I would be willing to go up to 60, I think, to call it reasonable. And so they're asking for 70 in the US, which I'm not too shocked by. At least, like I said, this is a very good set. It's a very good experience to build. You definitely get more here than just another helmet in the line. You get more than just another one of these with a slightly different color scheme. It's a complete ground up redesign, and it's a genuinely good and enjoyable build that first time. Now, once you build it, it's just going to be on display. Does it look good? I think it does. I think it looks very good. So I would recommend using some discounts. I recommend waiting for a little bit of a price to come down, but at least in the US, we're within a leap of a reasonable range. But in other regions right now, no. And I don't like that. It should not cost 88 US dollars in the UK. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, those are my thoughts on price and value overall. Again, at least it's a very good product. So you can work from there and then decide for yourself if you think the value is good based on whether you like it at all in the first place. It has some small issues with it, in the North American region, with the colors of stickers still, unfortunately, which just sucks and isn't going to be fixed anytime soon. And then just these right here. I would probably just tile those off for my own use. Otherwise, hey, pretty nice. Thank you very much for watching. Hope that this was of some value to you. Thank you for your support in watching the video in the first place. And thank you to my Patreon supporters, my channel members on the JANG channel, and Twitch subscribers for helping me to be able to do this, to continue to do this in the face of some pretty significant headwinds in the content creation space. Bye for now.